it's important to find people that complement
Definitely
your strengths.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you can find somebody that is good at the things that you're not good at,
Right.
or you don't like doing,
Right,
or both.
Well, and that's developing a good team,
Yeah.
for sure. So in order for us to grow future and get bigger where we want to go, I think we have to develop a good team and find more people that can be on the managing side of things and push this thing further to a new level.
Welcome back to Hey Pops Financial. If this is the first one that you're watching and it's not welcome back, then go watch some other videos that you'll see linked here, and we'll then you can come and watch it a second time and it'll be welcome back. Well, I've got an awesome interview for you today. Good friend of mine, Edward Bencomo. He owns Amberstone Hardscaping Design. So Edward, let's see, we've known each other for a couple of years. I guess kind of from the periphery.
Yeah.
So our kids go to school together, and then we're kind of getting to know each other. And as we were talking and going back and forth, I was just like, oh man, I gotta have this guy on here. So
Yeah.
Edward, welcome. You can say hi to the
Hi, how you doing?
to the audience here.
Thanks for having me, Mitch. I appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, brother.
Yeah, it's been like 3 years, I think. Our kids have been going to school together.
Yeah, I know.
Miss Con just told me that
I
the
know.
other day. So
Yeah, Mitchie was just like, yeah, Liam's probably my best friend.
yeah,
I was like, oh, that's so cute.
I was looking at a picture she had in the classroom, basically, and I was like, oh wow, they're so little, you know. And it was the first year they were there, basically, and I was like, oh, and I was like, is that Mitch? I was like, oh, wow.
It's pretty wild. Yeah, he's almost 11 now.
So
It's
my kids are looking off into the distance, not even at the camera.
Yeah, they're like, I'm surprised mine weren't, man.
Yeah.
Those guys they're such spazzes like their dad. But no, well, I'm super excited. The reason we will kind of want to have you on the Hey Pops channel, you know, the conversation that we were having just about your business, where you've been to where you're at now, what that took, you know, the hustle that it took, I mean, there was some planning involved, definite, you know, intentionality, I guess I would say. I mean, because hustle for the sake of hustle doesn't go anywhere.
Right.
You have to have a clear focus on what you're doing. Otherwise, you're just, I mean, you can spin your wheels all day long and you'll go nowhere.
Right.
And so that hustle with intentionality, I think, is something that really stuck out to me with you. But then also the challenges that you've overcome, I think also were some of those was really cool, that kind of stood out to me, as well as what you and I would say is the hand of God in your journey, what some people call manifesting your life, or whatever they call it. But so yeah, let's dive right into it.
Sure.
I mean, so your business, we'll start there. How did that happen? Like what inspired you to start?
Yeah.
What do you do?
So I run a construction company. I'm a general contractor, basically, here in Santan Valley, and we started, oh man, I want to say 14 years ago. Yeah, so 14 years ago. Yeah, probably. Yeah.
But so when you were 10?
Yeah, I was 10. Yeah, so I'm 40 now. So 14 years ago, which was, you know, so I came from a small town called Heber, Arizona.
I'm familiar with Heber.
Small population. I started construction there when I was 18. That's kind of how things started, you know. And so I just had a really good construction teacher, you know what I mean? And so my background there is I basically wasn't doing much in school, and it's either you got to find a job, right? I mean, basically. So I come from a pretty poor family. My mom had like 9 kids, you know, at home, and you know, she pretty much raised us. You know, my dad wasn't in the picture for the longest time. You know, he's in the picture now, and that was like 15, 16. You know, when I reconnected with my dad. You know, so they split up when I was like 10.
Oh, okay.
You know, yeah. So then from
9
that point,
kids alone.
Yeah. Well, so
Man,
my oldest
a
sister,
strong woman there.
Oh, my mom is tough as nails. So then in that town, I mean, she didn't have a car. I mean, that's how poor we were. Like, she didn't have a car till she met my stepdad, I guess, you know what I mean? So like, she didn't have a car for years. We would walk everywhere, like grocery stores, you name it, you know what I mean? Like, get anything.
You do what you gotta do.
Yeah, do what you gotta do, right? And she, you know, and now looking back at it, and I'm like, I don't even know how you did it, Mom. And she's like, you know, you just have to. I'm like, it's insane.
Adapt and survive.
I couldn't even think walking, you know, anywhere now with my kids and carrying groceries and whatever, you know, whatever.
We're all soft.
Yeah. So, but we had, you know, she had a bunch of boys. So, I mean, you know, there's 6 boys and, 3 girls,
wow.
You know what I mean?
That poor woman.
So, yeah, so we would.
I got 5.
So,
yeah. I'm just like, I'm tearing my hair out and I was like.
Yeah, I got all boys. I got 4 boys.
Oh, yeah. Okay, yeah, of course. We just keep them outside.
Yeah.
Put a water dish out, food.
That's it. Yeah.
And
run wild. Do you? Yeah. Yeah. So then I, you know, landed in construction. I was fortunate enough to land in construction and start, you know, learning construction. Things, you know, they kind of went soft there for a bit, where we had like, you know, that recession and stuff, and you know, work got scarce, and so I moved down here. I came down here with my brother. We were painting a building. My brother has a painting business.
Cool.
And so we're painting a building for a hardscape construction company, and they were looking for someone at that point to start framing up stuff, and so they hired me on to build and frame, because I had a framing knowledge background from Hebrew, basically, where I worked there. And that kind of went nowhere for a bit there, and then you know, I was definitely the guy in the job that was like, even though I was getting paid dirt wages, even though I was always for the company, it didn't matter what it was. I was always like, you know, there was these younger guys in me that were there, and they're like, Edward, why are you working so hard? I'm like, you guys are all going off to college, this and that. I said, this is kind of it for me. I'm like, I don't have anything else that you know what I mean? So I was always like, you know, if the company's doing good, we're going to do good eventually, you know what I mean, type deal. And I just kind of had that, and I talked a lot about them, you know, I talked them up a lot, even though I wasn't, and I felt like I was put in a position of like higher up, you know, because I did have some knowledge, and they did kind of would let me go work and stuff, but they weren't treating me well. Either way, you know what I mean? But that kind of
developing.
I was developing skills, yeah. So I
because I think that's huge. I mean, not to cut you off too much, but like that's why I wrote down here as like learning that skill. I mean, whatever you're in, whatever opportunity you have. You take it. You take it.
Yeah.
You know, so
do the best you can until you find something different. Yeah.
Bingo.
Yeah.
And then you'll develop those muscles for that next thing that you end up doing.
So that took me basically into their sales division. So I started selling jobs, and so then I got in front of customers, and I started learning, okay, talk to these people. And I had a knowledge base in construction, which kind of made it easier.
Yeah. I bet. As opposed to just going straight into sales, it's like you can clearly tell them exactly like what they need.
Right, and that took a toll, because so then my boss at the time just crammed. I mean, all the knowledge he could. It would be every day after everyone else had left. I'd spend an extra hour in the office just learning how to break down cost points and this and that, and so he would just cram that as much as he could, and I just have pages of notes of everything that I was writing down, and just trying to learn this sales, right? And then, you know, and sales has always been kind of like the harder aspect of it for me. It was kind of hard. I wasn't able to go out and just, now we're going to do it, right?
It can be hard.
Yeah.
But here's something, you need sales in everything that you do.
Yeah, everything.
It does not matter what it is.
It drives every business. I mean, if you're not making sales, you're not making money. And that's how you basically will continue growing. You have to have that cash flow coming in regardless, you know?
Heck yeah. No, and I love that though, how you were well-rounded in the entire business.
Yeah.
You know, it's like, even though you're not college or whatever that you're saying some of these other people going on to, it didn't mean that you weren't studying.
Right.
It didn't mean that you weren't learning.
I had someone break it down like I almost had an engineering degree without a hands-on engineering degree, just without the scholarship to it, you know what I mean? Without putting it into college or something like that, you know, because I was breaking down even like formulas for like concrete or whatever, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And stuff that I'd learn, or I'd do a deep dive into it or whatever, or I've gone to California and done actually like classes for other stuff, you know what I mean? And they'll do training stuff here, and I'll go learn it, you know what I mean?
Awesome.
And stuff like that, which is nice. But yeah, so then you just break it into that way, right? So that company was, I don't know, we were coming out, and so about 14 years ago they were going bankrupt basically. They were moving from place to place, and they were tanking. And so at that point I got let go from the position I was there basically, and stuff. So then I was dating my wife, who's Thea, and I was dating her at the time, and she said, you know, hey, why don't you do this on your own? You seem to have knowledge for it, right? She kind of gave me that push, you know. I wasn't even thinking about it, right? That's not even, you know, I was like, sure, I guess. And she's like, if I can find customers for you or help you find customers, you know, was this something you'd want to do? And I'm like, yeah, it's, you know, like, sure, you know.
Thea's awesome.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
She's got uncanny motivation.
She is something else,
yeah,
man.
she definitely is a big part of the business, honestly, and big part of everything that we do for sure. And she just, structure and like planning is her thing. Like, she does such a great job at it. And
good for her.
Yeah. So it's hard. So that's like, I'm trying. So this year that's my growth for this year. I'm going to try to get better at planning and jotting down, you know, things down and making sure that, hey, I'm planning this stuff out better. You know what I mean? Which
I think is good. I mean, to try to grow and develop in your own.
Yeah.
But what that kind of tells me is, whether you're married to the person or not, it's important to find people that complement
definitely
your strengths.
Oh yeah.
You know, if you can find somebody that is good at the things that you're not good at,
right,
or you don't like doing,
right,
or both.
Well, and that's developing a good team, for sure. So in order for us to grow future and get bigger where we want to go, I think we have to develop a good team and find more people that can be on the managing side of things and push this thing further to a new level. You know? And that's definitely, I think that's key.
Because you can't, honestly, there's a cap.
Yeah.
There's only so much time and effort that you have,
and you can put
as a business owner.
Sure.
I mean, before, you just don't have the time.
Right.
You know, you want to go quick, go by yourself. You want to go far, go with other people.
You have to bring people.
You know,
you have to bring
them
people
all
involved.
I love that.
Yeah. So in that, so basically, so then she started kicking around names. You know, she came up with this cool little design. She designed her first website. You know what I mean? Like, you name it. Yeah. And then, so at the time, you know, we're living in this apartment. You know what I mean? And she's collecting unemployment. I'm getting unemployment from getting let go of the job I was at, and we're just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
And I remember we got our first customer.
Rice and beans.
It was just exactly. We got our first customer. Is the most exciting thing ever for us, right? And you know, I'm getting these forms, trying to figure out invoice forms and all this other stuff, getting people, you know, sign a signature, here's a deposit, here's a receipt for this, you know what I mean? And now I'm getting material. And the first job we had, like, we're literally loading pavers in the back of a little Cavalier, man. You know what I mean? To get the job done, or renting things from Home Depot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So I'm renting a truck from Home Depot just to get the job done. Like, I gotta figure this out. So now we're figuring things out, right? That goes in, and you know, each year it becomes more and more, you know, you're just doing more, and then you're figuring out new things. Okay, well, we've been down this road, let's figure out the next steps and how you progress and grow from there, you know. So yeah, it's been a journey, man.
Where have you seen hustle take a failure into a success in that journey? Because especially at that beginning part, I mean, you're talking about using just whatever means you can.
Yeah. So hustle in that. So like I said, my wife is really, really good at finding assets, like, you know, so she'd find like Google Calendar, and Google has a ton of free for any like starting people. You know, Google has a lot of free resources. Google Calendar, you can, you know what I mean? So it helps, you know. Okay. So that was kind of our starting base stuff on it. And then to move on to your question, so then the hustle part of it is we would spend days and nights just working, spinning our wheels, this and that, you know what I mean? And getting, you know, we're making ends meet, we're making money, you know, this and that, but then it comes to a point where it's like, okay, you got to learn to let go of kind of some of the stuff that you hold on to, which, I mean, for me, the hardest part was always pride in the quality of work and making sure that I'm doing it myself, because I can always do it better than you know what I mean? Trusting people or hiring people, you know what I mean, to come in and do the work for us, basically. So we still try to hold up that sense of quality.
Well, of course.
Right?
So you don't want to sacrifice that.
Right. So everyone we bring in has to have a pretty decent knowledge base on it, and you know, at least be teachable. If you don't know what you're doing, just be honest and let me know, and then we'll figure out how to teach you to do it, or how to get you that.
And then raise them up to where you want them to be.
Right, exactly. So that's kind of the whole thing on that aspect. As far as for me, as turning my wheels and just doing the hustle, it was like we would just try to land deals, and then I'd be doing the work, right? So the first time I'm doing all the work at first, right? Yeah. So I'm running through it, doing all the work, and then trying to get my bids out, and this and that, and so you find a lot of time you're just spinning wheels, you're just running around this circle of like, okay, so that in a sense makes you grow, right? So then you're like, okay, I can't keep doing this, you know what I mean? So you have to find people to put in the position, but then you have to also make for sure that those people are knowledgeable and they're not taking advantage of you.
Yeah.
Right. Which happens. A lot of guys just want to show up and earn the paycheck there.
And they're just going to sit and do
I'm just here collecting my paycheck. I get paid either way, right? So that was a hard part for us to learn too. So we do a lot of we'll find crews that are already established, already have kind of like the sense in it.
So you have more trust in...
Well, you're almost subbing amount, so they're getting paid X amount. So we're like, you can't pay someone, and even if we keep them full time, and this and that, and we keep them, we'll try to give them perks, like end of the year bonuses and stuff like that. But for the most part, we're keeping them like you're getting a set rate for these jobs because there's only X amount of money into it, and we can't go exceed that, or else we're not. Now you're dipping into our profit basically, or you know what I mean. So we're not making money otherwise. So that's kind of how we structured it, and then from there we've grown into. Now we're subbing a lot more stuff out because we're doing a lot more work. So I do have a license. So my license came, probably 4 or 5 years after we started the business. I got licensed, and since I had my contracting background where I knew, so I went up for the full general contracting license. And so,
because why not?
Yeah. Well, it covers everything.
Yeah.
It just covers so much, such a wide spectrum, and we're dipping into a little bit of everything at the time. So it was just like, this just makes more sense, and then I'm covered, right, for whatever, and I don't have to worry about it. Now we're hiring out, like, I just subbed out a pool builder, building a pool, for the first pool we're building on our business, which is great. And then I have a framing crew that comes in and does framing. When I got framing, I got an electrician I hire out, and I have,
Beautiful.
So it's just a little bit of everything, and we're just, the main goal we have now is just managing it, making sure everyone is being managed and our customers are getting taken care of, and we're relaying communication back and forth to them.
Communication, oh my gosh.
Which is...
That is the key. Communication is key, big time. With anything that you do.
Another hard one I learned.
So, whether it's a relationship, whether it's a business, whatever. Like, communication is big time. Big time. Yeah. Well, that, honestly, I love hearing stories of how people get started and the struggles that they overcome. Now that you're kind of at this point in your kind of career, you were talking to me about how you plan for the entire year.
Yeah.
So that intentionality piece, right? We're talking about hustle and spinning your wheels and maybe not going anywhere as fast as you want, but with that intentionality, how have you seen that planning take you from that spinning wheels mode to launching you forward?
So the biggest thing for us is our faith in God, and so that's been the biggest key in our business and in our everyday life. So awesome. and a lot of times we get stuck on like habits of forgetting that, which is hard, right? And so then you go through and you hit a problem, you hit a block wall, you hit things that happen in life, and you're like, I can't get over this hump. I don't know what's going on. You know what I mean? And you're trying to find answers. And the biggest thing for us has always been like, we didn't pray on it. Why didn't we just pray? Why didn't we just sit down and pray? And so that's always been the easiest thing for us to be like, oh, duh, I know what I got to do. Let me go pray, and then kind of just take a step back. So when you're hitting walls and you're trying to find new obstacles, that's always been like my go-to. And my wife's too. And she, did you pray on it? You know what I mean? That's like the best words and you can ever. Did you pray on it? No. I got to go pray. Hang on. Let me go think about this for a second. Just kind of calm, And that's always been kind of our inner peace, and it's kind of helped us kind of jump these struggles that we can't find, or something will happen.
Yeah.
Something will just come our way. Okay, cool. Now we can jump these battles.
I've actually been surprised lately. I've kind of been seeing this trend of how many like uber successful people that I've seen that pray.
Yeah.
That is a regular practice that they have, where it's like, I don't know the answers. I'm going to ask and then open myself up to something greater.
Yeah, to,
you know,
to receive the knowledge, or even just.
I use it all the time, and I've seen it. Like, that's just big
and then
time.
things will break, man. It's funny. It's so crazy. So that's kind of our biggest thing, right?
Awesome.
Then we go into our year. We try, and right now we're kind of in the mix of it for this year, so we haven't rolled out 2025 yet. We try to take all of January to kind of like jot down goals, where we're moving to, what's next, what do we have planned, and we jot them down. You know, and it looks like just a big mess of just jotting things down.
So you have like a resolution month. You don't.
You don't take a day. No,
because most resolutions are abandoned by the first week.
They just don't make sense. So and they do. They get abandoned. So we take a whole month, try to take the whole month of January just to say, okay, where do we want to go this year?
That's really, really cool.
So then we take, and even in that, we don't just do our business, we do everything. So we do family, we do everything. So we do our vacations, we book them in advance.
I think that's
great.
So
we think, okay, look, if we're going to take a vacation, when are we going to take a vacation?
It's kind of a holistic view to your goals.
Yeah, so we put it in whatever month we want, and then we look things up and say, oh, hey, this is actually on sale, and if we go this time, we could do this. Then
beautiful.
And so we say, okay, cool. My wife was looking at like vacation to Hawaii, comes in April, right? So it's like, okay, that's X amount of money, and can we do that and make payments on this, and then it becomes affordable, and then you just look at different things that way,
So cool. I love that.
That's something we're in the works, whatever. But yeah, so we take the whole month of January and we plan things out and we just jot it all down. Here's everything we got for January, right? Then we take and we'll put those into, pick 2 or 3 things, and you hit them per month, per this and that. We're trying to hit these goals each month, see what happens. Now they're just goals, right? So you can't beat yourself up if you don't achieve them. If you don't get to that mark, this is there, and then they just roll over into either the next month, or they'll roll over into the next year, just depending on oh, we're almost there, or hey, we're not there yet. You know what I mean?
Which it's okay. Like that's what's I think that's sometimes too that we got to remember, like, pray as if it all depends on God, and then work as if it all depends on us.
Right.
But have the flexibility to be able to just, I don't know, kind of go with the flow.
Right.
Or roll with the punches, I guess I would say. Go with the flow sounds a little bit too, I don't know.
So you got to
unintentional, but like
right.
being able to be adaptable is that's the word I'm looking for.
We use the word grace. So you give ourselves the grace of, what I mean? Give yourself the grace that, hey, if I didn't make it, it's okay, right? What did I do? Look at your accomplishments, take your accomplishments and say, okay, and then also try not to overload. So we try to just focus on 1 thing or 2 things or 3 things that hey, these are achievable this month, right?
Love it.
Right. And then we also set some out of boundary goals, right? Like, this is where we'd love to see the company go, right? And we're not sure how we're going to get there, but this is what we'd like to do this year. Not sure how we're going to get there yet, but it's a goal. Let's write it down, and then we'll figure out how to get there. You know what I mean? If even if it's a 5-year plan or a 3-year plan or whatever it is, right?
Because you at least have a destination in mind.
Right.
If you start a trip without a destination, I mean, you can drive as much as you want. You're never going to get there.
Yeah, you're just going, right?
Yeah, at least type it in the GPS.
Yeah, exactly.
That's awesome. Yeah. That's awesome. I love that. So, how have you seen your kind of your efforts magnified, I guess, with the combination of now you got, you're seeking inspiration, you've got the hustle, you've got the planning. People talk about manifesting things, they just say it and it happens, but it's like, I think there's a little bit more to it than that.
Yeah, for sure.
But how have you seen kind of combining all of those manifest some of those things that you're like, I never would have imagined that actually happening, but it did, just because I put it down. I typed it in the GPS, and then you went for it.
Right. So when we do our planning and stuff, so we start off our plan in the month of January, like we were just talking about, and then we'll take either we'll decide that we're going to fast on certain topics, or we're going to fast for the whole year, or we're going to fast for all of it. And however we end up doing it, we take 2-3 days and we fast from something, you know what I mean? We'll sustain.
Cool.
So we'll fast on it and we'll pray on it. So that's like our number 2 things that we do.
That's awesome.
As soon as we plan it, then we'll pray and we'll try to align ourselves with God on it. And that's our second step, right? And then we put it all down in there in the calendar, and we go from there. So a few different things that kind of manifested is we threw out this rough number. Just we'd like to see $100,000 in our bank account. Not sure how that was going to happen, right? It's a pretty big number.
But that'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me?
Threw it in.
If you would like $100,000 in your bank account, put something in the comments.
Yeah.
I would love
right
to have that.
So we threw that in there. We have always had like a far off dream to own land, buy a house with some land on it. You know what I mean? Not sure where or how much land. You know, whatever. That's kind of was one of the goals we'd written down last year. And then we'd prayed on. I prayed on like habilitation for my youngest son's autistic. So my youngest son Tyler, he's 5. He's nonverbal autistic. He goes to the Barn Academy, great school, and
so there's challenges with
there's
that,
challenges, yeah. So they had told us that, hey, you know, they can be this habilitation program that you guys can take and stuff and this and that. So we're like, well, let's look into that. You know what I mean? See what happens, right? Yeah. And then every month you just kind of get busy, you just do your thing and go. And so we had written all these things down, we planned it out, and it was funny to us that some of the key ones that had been put down on our calendar in the month that we had put them down just kind of showed up. You know what I mean? Which is really, really, really weird.
That's wild.
Yeah. So you know, I think aligning ourselves with God and putting all that forward first was kind of like the big step, and then it just happened. And God's timing is not your timing, right? So that was the kind of the biggest thing for us. And we put it. I mean, yeah, sure, it takes a lot of work, but it takes a lot of faith. Right. And so we were putting down some stuff on there. So the habilitation one for Tyler was kind of big. Our health stuff was kind of big for us too. So we had some health things that we, you know, saw some achievements in overcoming this last year. But the biggest one was really like this house pops up on my wife's social media platform, right? And so we had to get our, what's it called? Credit scores. You know, we want to build these back up, get these things where they need to be so we can even get approved for house, you know.
Yeah.
So our anniversary was in April, right? And in that moment, basically we would go to Open Doors and we'd check out all these different houses and go look at them. Well, Open Door had changed their system where now you can't just get a pin to, you know, log it in or whatever. So we weren't getting this access code. Well, the house we went to go view, just same coincidence, basically there's a guy there and he's showing it. So there's a realtor and he's showing this house. And we're like, well, that's strange, you know. And so he's like, hey, did you guys come to look at the house and stuff? And we're like, well, we did. We're on our anniversary, we're just staying in an Airbnb here in the neighborhood, and we, you know, would like to see it, but I guess we can't get the code to get in or something. Like, well, here, I'll open it for you. You know, he opens it up, we start talking to him, and he shares a lot of the same beliefs, and just, you know, gave us his number and stuff. You guys ever need anything, you know? And we were telling him, well, our goal actually was to move closer to church. You know?
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it was moved closer to our church. We go to a church. It's called Living Word Bible Church. It's in Mesa.
Right.
Yeah. So that was our goal. And we're like, we want to get closer to church so we can start volunteering more in our church.
Oh, there you go. Give back more.
Yeah. So anyway, so then we talked to him for a bit, and he starts sending us stuff in the area. You know, he's sending us over things, you know, but we don't think it's even a possibility. We're like, we're not even, you know, our credit score there will probably get denied. Who knows if we'll even be able to get that. Yeah. So then basically this house pops up on my wife's social media, right? And she's like, do you want to look at it? I'm like, I know these people, you know, I grew up in the same town as them, you know what I said? It's funny. And so she's like, well, reach out to them, see if we can go view it. It's just, she sets up a viewing, we go look at the place, and I reach out to this realtor. I'm like, just long shot, what do you think about this? You know,
let's try it.
Yeah. And he's like, well, let me get you over to our broker, this and that, and then let's just see if there's anything we can do. And so he has this program, basically. It was the buy before you sell program. And so they take your home equity, they give you money to get your house fixed up and running, and they basically get you into this home and all that stuff. So that made it possible for us to even purchase this home, right?
Which is great.
Yeah.
There are products like that out there.
Yeah. So this is cool. We didn't even know it existed, right? So
well, you're not in that world.
Right. Yeah.
You know.
Right. So that kind of got us kind of put us a shoe in, basically, to get into this place, and then with our business and the amount of money we're bringing in, it was like, hey, yeah, you guys can. This will work, you know what I mean? But you got to sell your other house, you know? So we're thinking about, can we put this on Airbnb? Can we rent it out? You know, go through all the different stuff. They're like, yeah, it just wouldn't be financially, you know, available to you guys at that point. And that kind of just spiraled. Like, that happened in a month of, like, I want to say maybe a month and a half, 2 months, that all of a sudden we're buying a new house, and it went
Oh,
so
I know.
fast.
I remember when it happened, I was like, oh my gosh, man. Like,
It went so fast. It was just, and, it wasn't even, like I said, it wasn't even something we're like, oh, this is crazy, right? So then we get our house all fixed up, get it. The first people to come view it bought the house, like, and it happened like that too. It was
no way.
Yeah, first people come view it, boom, and yeah, and just like that, that $100,000 goal we had in our bank account, now we get a check just boom dropped in our account. We're like, that's insane. And it was more than that because we got a down payment for the other house. We had money to fix up both houses, but it was just insane to see that happen.
Get it all out in ones.
Right.
And then,
I know, right? Start divvying it up in places,
jump into it.
Yeah.
That's wild though. Like that, seriously, that is so cool. Like I love hearing that. But again, that intentionality, I think, is probably the biggest piece that I take away, just kind of as I'm internalizing this and saying, okay, what can I do? Is putting that intentionality with it. Because it's kind of funny how when we go through hard times, we all, a lot of us, we look up.
Yeah.
And we're like, please help me. Give me a sign.
That's the easiest time to look up.
Right?
Yeah.
We say, when you're at rock bottom.
Oh, yeah.
Give me a sign. But then we don't move.
Yeah.
And what I've seen is that he'll give us signs along the path, but in order to see those signs, you have to start moving down the path.
Yeah. Yeah.
So he's like, I've given you all of these signs. I'm going to give you all of these signs.
Right.
But you have to take the first step at least.
Yeah.
In order to see what those signs are.
Yeah. Jesus did that all the time. He said to pick up your mat and walk. Right. If you're not moving, you know what I mean? You got to take the blessings and then you got to walk. If you're not doing that, then you're just kind of stuck there. Right?
You're not going to get anywhere.
But if you said no,
right? I know.
No, I'm just going to stay here. Right.
I'm good. I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
I kind of like it down here at rock bottom. Yeah. I'm alone. I got my space.
People do that. Yeah.
But we do.
Yeah.
We do it all the time.
People do it all the time.
But oh my gosh, man. I love that. This is a great question. What is one piece of advice that you can give to someone that feels like they have the odds stacked against them? Everything in their life, poor, broken family, no education, disability, anything.
Yeah.
They've got all the things stacked against them. What's that piece of advice you'd give?
So for me, it's like, just find some good faith, find something to believe in, and try. You gotta do work every day. You gotta at least do something, right? One favorite sayings is, how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time, right? If you're doing, even when you work out or you do whatever, you know what I mean? You don't have to do or be an expert at anything you do. You just have to do a little bit at a time. And even if you give yourself doing a little bit, like 10 minutes a day of something versus an hour of working out, if you're getting 10 minutes a day, that 10 minutes will progress to 20 minutes, will progress to 30 minutes, will progress to an hour if that's what you're looking for, right? So it's doing it a little bit at a time every day. And you just commit yourself to something. You got to be able to commit yourself to it, to do a little bit at a time, to try a little bit, and then find something to believe in. So I pray to God constantly. I give everything I have thanks to him, you know what I mean? And that's, so I try just to continue my faith and not let it, even in the hard times, but especially in the good times, give thanks in the good times, give thanks in the hard times, and just say, look, I know that there's something, a lesson I'm learning here, or something going on that I just don't understand yet.
Yeah.
But once I get over this, then I'll look back at it and say, oh, this was what you were trying to tell me.
And then you become grateful for those hard times,
Yeah. And then, but everyone that is great or successful and goes through it. Was it Edison did the light bulb, and they said, how many times did he fail at the light bulb? And he's like, I didn't fail. He's like, I learned X amount of times how not to make a light bulb. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, those qualities or those features that you got to think, okay, yeah, that was hard. That was tough. I know what not to do now. And that usually is how it ends up doing with anything that we struggle over. It's like, oh, I know how not to do that now, right? And so then the next time that same issue persists itself or comes around, you're like, okay, I know what I need to do here in order to make that work out better, and that's kind of been our driving force. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. I love that. Edward, thank you so much for coming on.
Having me.
You guys, thank you so much for joining us. If you got value from this, please like, subscribe, share. I know I personally did gain value from this. I absolutely love your story. If you'd like to see Edward come on again, please let us know in the comments. I know that there are several things that we didn't get to that we had talked about, success through service and, basically other things that have helped you.
We'll do the 2-hour podcast.
Yeah, we'll do the Joe Rogan episode here if you guys want.
You can just keep going. I mean, you really can.
I know.
There's so many topics, and you can try to hit on every little thing, but it's just like, it's a lot.
No, well, we've loved having you here, so thank you so much again.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And thanks for joining us. We'll see you again next time.